Okay. Okay. Okay, there we go. Streams live. Hello, Isaiah. Hey, guys. Okay. Okay, how's everyone doing? I can help anybody sell, whoever needs help selling. Just send me an invite. Hey, guys. How are you guys? Hope you guys are having a great weekend. I'm doing good, Alex. How are you, man? How's everyone? My weekend's been good. And tomorrow I'll be uploading the final part of The Sopranos. Will I review the robot DLC? What robot DLC? Love the cosplay, thank you. Chinatown Wars was really fun. If you have, like, it's a very fun mobile game. One of the best mobile games I ever played. I'm doing good, Anthony. Okay, so does anyone need help? Okay, I'll help Michael then. Here. Oh, he's full. Okay. The Saints Row Reboot DLC. Oh, I'll probably give it a try. I'll probably, you know, I played the regular thing, so I'll probably play it too. Hey, everyone. Okay. How much money do you have? 1,208,000,000.
Oh, balls.
Oh, great.
Some cops on the take are about to...
Every time.
Hey, Timmy. Hey, 3rd Street Saint, to the person with a... Okay, let me see here. Just gonna rush right back to that business then. Oh, that wasn't my car. That was Yara's car. I'm good, Unconverting. How are you, man? Hello, Phoenix. Hey, man. Yeah, but we did an entire playthrough of the regular cringe mess in the Saints Row, and I think we'll revisit this DLC just to see what's going on exactly in it. Okay, 2.5 miles. We'll get there. Do you think GTA 5 cars are too slow? Kind of, yeah. I think they kind of are. I think that they all really need a speed boost, speed increase. Mark 1 is okay for lore. You talk about the Oppressor Mark 1? No, I think that it should be taken out of the game because it's like, it has really no place in a GTA game like the Oppressor Mark 1, too. Once more the cosplay guy grants us his presence. Thank you, man. Hit us with the La Roca finger. Yeah, he does it like this. Yeah, it's just in the Sopranos, everyone points in that game. I don't know why. Like the animation is like so weird. Like the characters are constantly pointing. Is laser getting nerfed? I doubt it. If anything, the Oppressor Mark II needs a nerf. Again, make the missiles only lock onto NPC vehicles, not on player vehicles. Yeah, the police cars, sometimes that they can just keep up with your cars, even though you have really fast cars, is ridiculous. Yeah, I didn't pay the loan off in Saints Row 1, I just wanted to see what would happen. What time is it your time? 8:33 p.m. Compared to 4, GTA 5 story mode is so shallow. GTA 4 definitely has the best story in the series, at least in my opinion. It's just so dark, it's deep, there's just so many different things that happen in the story in GTA 4, like the heroin in GTA 4 goes all over the place, and then you have the, and then you also have the diamonds. So the diamonds was involved with 3 different characters. Can you give GTA history video a shout out? I could make a community post about that, Joe. I could definitely recommend that. Thank you for the super chat. Yeah, Zombie's a good friend of mine. Thank you for the super chat, man. Yeah, GTA 4 cops are still pretty challenging, but they're not like impossible to escape from like GTA 5. GTA 5, even like a 2-star water level can be annoying to escape from at times.
You knocked us down. Oh, balls.
Oh, come on. Again, you gotta be kidding me. Second time on the raids now. Oh, great. Yeah, Marcus, I'm just going to keep going because when a second person gets on the bike, it actually drives a lot slower. So I'm just going to ride over there as fast as I can. Patrick, are you tired? A little bit. I had a few things to do today, but I still, want to, do my streams. I've seen 3 raids in a row once. I've seen that. I don't know if Yarrow was inside the business. Who's the darkest GTA protagonist, Claude or Tony? Claude, because Claude has no friends. He doesn't care about anybody. He doesn't like anybody. he has no loyalty to anyone. He'll betray everyone really quickly right away. Oh, thank you, Melon. Let me know when Raven messages you back. Okay, thank you, Melon. Did I see the video of the guy on TikTok who talked to Trevor's voice actor and asked him if he will be in GTA 6? He doesn't know because actors are last to find out what they're working on. Yeah, well, that's the thing is, imagine how, I can imagine how annoying it is being, like, one of the GTA voice actors today, because imagine that, like, people are constantly asking you about GTA 6, and these voice actors don't know anything really about GTA 6. They're probably not even in GTA 6. And that's what I'll say is it's so stupid. Is you know, every single time these actors do something like privately, like some kind of event or something like that, these stupid clickbaiters just speculate endlessly. Oh, they're doing GTA 6. GTA 6, that's what they're doing right there. It's so stupid. Do you know that the guy who actually plays as Arthur Morgan, Roger Clark, he actually started getting harassed because of the clickbaiters. Because there was clickbaiters that were going around. You guys remember in, like, 2019? Remember in 2019 when there was clickbaiters who were spreading around that Red Dead clickbait, and they kept saying that, you know, Sadie Adler story DLC, you know, a Dutch prequel, you know, stuff like that. Like, they just kept saying that there's a story DLC coming out for Red Dead. There was no evidence of any of that stuff. And what actually happened was Roger Clark on his, like, Instagram and, like, his YouTube, or I think it was his Twitter, started getting spammed saying, where is the Red Dead story DLC? Like, this clickbaiters, these YouTubers were saying that you know about the next Red Dead DLC. And what eventually happened was Roger Clark was working on some project. I think it was a music video. And he basically just said on Instagram, I'm working on a new project, guys. And the clickbaiters, they basically were just speculating, oh, this is the next Red Dead DLC that he's working on right here. And so Roger Clark got harassed so bad, like spam, asking him about Red Dead story DLC, that he actually commented on that YouTuber's channel and said, no, don't listen to this, guys. This is nonsense. I'm not working on any kind of Red Dead story DLC. I'm just working on a new music video. That's what I'm talking about here. So that was, so the clickbaiters ended up getting them harassed. Whoa. $1,000 for that. Okay. Ready to sell whenever you're ready. I feel bad for Roger getting harassed. Someone like him was proud of his role in the successful video game he ever did, and getting harassed, yep. Oh. Well, hope you enjoy your time, Yara.
Phew. Good job protecting the business. Production's up and running like nothing happened.
Pro, have you seen Downfall 2004? I have seen Downfall. That was a movie I seen that a long time ago, but I seen it. That's the movie that everyone parodies to on YouTube. When is America going to crown King Harry the First? So King Harry would, I mean, Prince Harry would love to be king of America, but he's just annoying. You know, him and his wife and all the drama that they've caused, it's... Scoot, thank you for the super chat. GTA 4, the heroin was destroyed, the cocaine ended up with the feds, and the diamonds ended up with a homeless man. Crazy how things work out. When did the heroin get destroyed? I'm trying to think. When did it get destroyed? The heroin that Luis blew up on Firefly Island. That was the same heroin that Nico stole? That was the same one from the Triads originally? Was that one it? Huh. Okay, let's see here. Oh, this is really easy, guys. Just follow me. Okay, yeah, this will be easy. You just follow them all in a pattern. I like Drip Pro looking fire. Thank you, man. After, can we sell when you're done? Oh, well, what happened to everyone else in your CEO? Did they leave, Michael? But I could help you with that afterwards. There we go. Good morning, Patrick. Monday morning here in South Korea. Oh, right. Yeah, because East Asia is in the East Asia is nearly like, yeah, a good amount, like 12 hours ahead, or a little bit less than that of where I'm at. Okay, Yara. Will I ever do another Griefer Fails video? Maybe one day. Carter. I don't really play that much in public sessions anymore. I used to play in public sessions a lot. But maybe, if I ever see like some really ridiculous Griefer fail, I might put it into like a compilation. So yeah, I would be open to doing that. 11 hours, okay.
Looks.
Can you help me with some airframe? I'm doing it been since they increased the pay, and missions are kind of fun. Sure, are you in my lobby? Will I make an Assassin's Creed playthrough one day? I did actually play Assassin's Creed 1 on the channel, but I'd be open to doing it again. And doing the other Assassin's Creed games. Why are there so many greedy people on this earth? Because people want stuff, and they want stuff, they want to have more stuff than others. It's very, this causes like a lot of selfishness, personally. Your guides helped me earn $40 million. Well, thank you, Artie Raccoon. Thank you, man. Oh, if you get in here, Rio, I can help you. Pro, did Tony ever have the makings of a varsity athlete? Yes, he did. TMC. Thank you, Marcus. I never worked at Planet Fitness. What are you talking about? If you mean have I worked out there? Yes, but I never worked there. What do you think would have happened if the Contras won the Contra War? Nicaragua probably would have been turned into a narco state if that had happened. The thing about that is in the Nicaraguan Civil War, both sides were bad. So there was really no good side to that war. I think I've gotten scammed. What happened? GTA Chinatown Wars is a little bit important to the lore, but it mostly ties into some things after GTA 4. There isn't really anything referenced to GTA Chinatown Wars in GTA 5. Pro, was Vladimir Lenin evil like Maximilian Robespierre, or was Lenin a good guy? Lenin was much worse than Robespierre. Much worse. You know, Lenin had created the NKVD, which was the Cheka. I think it was the Cheka. They were Soviet secret police. They killed a lot of people. So Lenin was responsible for a lot of atrocities. But Robespierre didn't kill hundreds of thousands of people like Lenin did, and Stalin killed millions of people. Robespierre killed a few thousand people during the Reign of Terror. I think it was like 20,000 people that died during the Reign of Terror. But Robespierre is very different than, like, Stalin, for example, or Lenin, because Robespierre is a very misunderstood figure in history. Robespierre, at one point, he was a good man. At one point, he believed in equality. He believed he was against the monarchy. He was against he wanted greater rights for peasants. He believed that peasants were equal to the aristocrats, that they should have the exact same kind of say as them. He abolished slavery. So he did do good things, but unfortunately what happened with Robespierre is that Robespierre went crazy over time. He went crazy because of just all the paranoia in the French Revolution. He thought that there was this big conspiracy out to end the revolution, but the reality about it was there was a conspiracy to put down the French Revolution, but it wasn't as big as Robespierre thought it was. Like, Robespierre thought that thousands of people were involved in this, but no, it was more like hundreds of people that were involved in it. Robespierre went so crazy that eventually he tried to create his own religion, the cult of the supreme being. So he was a good person in his earlier life, but, eventually things got to him and he just went crazy. I think a lot of politicians are greedy. The thing is, you look at a lot of these politicians, they go into politics, and then, like, after a few years in politics, they're multi-millionaires. It's like, where did they get all that money from? Okay, 4 drops. Have I ever watched Witch? No, I haven't, Gina. What is that? Thank you for the super chat. Yeah, it's insider stock trading. You're right on that. They buy up shares when they know a company's going to do either well or bad. They take advantage of that. Thank you, Jonathan. Thanks for the super chat. What did you think of El Rubio and his cartel? I personally see his group as Neo-Wehrmacht raiders and his heavy armored guys. Rubio was a, Rubio, I would say, is probably the scariest GTA villain that you fought so far, or in GTA 5 at least. Because the villains in GTA 5 weren't that scary or intimidating. Rubio was a bit scary. There we go, got it. Nice work. Why are comedians much smarter than politicians? Probably because comedians think about their jokes before they say them. Politicians will just do whatever in the moment. Have you listened to George Carlin? Yes, I've heard him before. What do you think of people with modded GTA accounts? It depends really on the situation, because there are, if we're talking about GTA 5, I think for a game like GTA 5, you can grind money in this game, and if you just mod everything, it's not only do you have a risk of getting banned, but it's also like, you know, what's the point of playing the game? If you just mod all this money, basically, you don't need to work for anything. There's not really a point in playing it. But on GTA 4, there's modders on GTA 4 on PS3. I encountered one friendly modder when I did the GTA 4 stream, and he basically was just spawning, like, as different characters. Like, he spawned as Dimitri, he spawned as Nico, which was kind of funny. But then there was another modder that was really toxic, and that really toxic modder, do you know what he would do? The really toxic modder, what he would do is he would actually, he would crash the lobby. So there was, like, some mod on PS3 where they could actually crash the whole lobby when everyone's in there, and everyone's games would freeze. And it just sucks. If you ever have a chance to create an Ace Attorney case related to any crime organization, what kind of plot would you give to it? Creating an Ace Attorney case, Patrick. I had to think about that. What kind of case would I create? Some kind of conspiracy, obviously, in it. You know, the thing about it is the cases in Ace Attorney were all really well done. They were all really well written. And when you actually solve the cases in Ace Attorney, the game makes you actually feel like a genius when you actually figure it out. Okay, 4.5 miles, let's get there. Ah. Okay, look at the chat again here. Yeah, I just can't really think of anything at the moment. I'm sorry, Patrick. Well, the thing about it, the guy that El Rubio is actually based on, he's based on Carlos Lecter, who was a German-Colombian drug lord who had his own private island, and he would throw parties and stuff like that. But Carlos Lecter in real life was also a neo-Nazi. As far as we know, we don't see that with El Rubio, because that's the guy El Rubio is based on. But, you know, Carlos is a really ruthless guy in real life. And he had, like, a whole network of planes. He had a a private airstrip. He actually agreed to pay off Colombia's national debt, I think it was, if they legalized cocaine or something like that. So, like, the guy El Rubio is based on, his story is, eventually he was arrested. He doesn't have control of the island anymore. I'm trying to think of something else with him. What else happened to him? I think he's out, actually. I don't think he's in prison anymore. Being a mobster or a gangster doesn't look like fun. Well, it's not. It's, the thing is, a lot of these guys, they go into the criminal life because for them it's easy money. They want to make money. But the reality of it is, it's not worth any kind of money because of the horrible things that you gotta do, and the fact that it's constantly looking over your shoulder. You're constantly looking over your shoulder. You know, most people who are gangsters, you know, don't live till old age. They don't. They either end up in prison and die there, or they get killed. So it's either one of the two. Very few people end up living all the way till the end. 2 miles. We got this now. I visited Latvia, but they are allies with the U.S. Thank you, Molly. And thank you, Victor, earlier, and JD and Patrick. Yeah, well, Latvia are allies with the U.S. Latvia are one of the countries that are like the biggest supporters of NATO, and that's because the Baltics have been invaded by Russia several times throughout its history, and it's because they're just personally scared about that happening again. The thing is, though, is that if the Baltics were probably not in NATO like Latvia wasn't, that probably would have eventually happened. Okay. Okay, here we go. Just drop this off. Truck off. Here, we got this. Good work, everyone. Okay, guys, just give me one moment. I'm just gonna get a bottle of water. I'll be right back.
Okay, invoice paid, and we have a sale. Currency's in your wallet, and Long John T is logging out.
Okay, here I am. Okay. Okay. My earbud back in. Okay, here we are. Okay, I'll see you, Freddy. Take care, man. Pro, why are you so strange? What do you mean strange, exactly? I don't understand what you mean by that. Oh, and let me, I forgot to bring my hat with me. I'm so stupid. One moment, let me go get my hat again. I knew I was forgetting something. Okay. If 5M server was created that mirrored the better aspects of GTA Online businesses, would you consider playing it? Yeah, but I wouldn't get on PC to play it. I wish you could play something like that on console. I wish that console would have that option to, like, yeah. Wish PlayStation would have better modding, like, PC, like, allowed in games. Like, I'm talking about single player mostly, but 5M is mostly, like, it's a mod for the multiplayer, but it's, like, it's not, like, a bad mod. It's more like an expansion on itself. Thank you, Electra Gaming. Thank you for sponsoring my channel for 2.5 years. Thanks, man.
All right, these drops are only accessible by seaplane.
Will we ever do some of the Fallout Elder Scrolls games? I want to do Fallout 3 one day. I'm just debating whether I do, like, a good playthrough or, like, an evil playthrough. Maybe, like, in the middle. Like, if I ever play through Fallout, guys, would you like me doing, like, evil karma things or good karma things? Who is more evil, Dmitry Raskolov or Dane Vogel? Probably Dmitry, I'd say. Yeah, Dmitry, because Dmitry actually pretends to be Nico's friend. Stupidest thing I've seen? I don't know, really. A lot of really dumb things that I've seen. Thank you, Game and Inc. and Jonathan Perez. Thanks, guys, for the super chats. How do you say my friend in Polish, mój kolega? Okay, I know how I'm gonna hit these now. Hit this one and then fly right over the dam. What games do you play that you don't stream? Mountain Blade Bannerlord. It's a nice Fallout 4. Maybe when GTA 6 comes out, I'll probably grind towards 1 billion as like a goal, but then after that, I'll probably stop. Do you like Rockstar's drip feeding? I don't mind a lot of the drip feed stuff as long as it's not like it's not like those paywall stuff where it's like there's a car available for just 1 week and then after that you can't get it anymore. Oh, I'm not the best person to ask for that yet, but my favorite GTA 5 motorcycle, probably the Hexer, Johnny's bike. Older Ace Combat games, yes. I want to do Ace Combat 4 because my favorite story in Ace Combat games, personally, Ace Combat 4 story. I like that one a lot. So I'd like to do a playthrough of them one day. I just don't know when I'll get to it, but I would definitely like to do it. What is the most annoying thing that can happen in GTA 5? Probably raids going back and back. Yeah, that's what I would probably say. Yeah, raids going back to back. You're up? Wait, what do you mean you're up? Why does Johnny Klebit's boss get arrested? Oh, you mean Billy. He got arrested for breaking his parole. Because he was on drugs at the time, or he probably wasn't allowed in Algonquin. Is Squidward the most relatable cartoon character? Probably Jimmy. When we saw Squidward as kids, we really didn't like Squidward. But when we became adults, we sympathized with him a lot more. We understand the stupid things that he goes through. Thank you, Jimmy. Yes, I know about that. You can play pool in Playboy X's apartment. The thing about that is that I actually didn't know about that. It was you guys who told me about that, and I found out about that years later. I actually went to Playboy X's apartment penthouse, and you could play pool in there. There we go, we got it, okay. And we completed it in like 7 minutes and 30 seconds. Really good for the plane. Oh, there's a plane still there. Okay. That's not spawning. I'm good, Elisio. How are you, man? Can you speak Polish for 10 seconds? Jak się masz? Moje imię jest Patrick. Ja gadam do ciebie po polsku. How are you? My name is Patrick. I'm speaking to you in Polish right now. Do you prefer to sell MC businesses from the city to the desert, or from the desert to the city? From the desert to the city, because the drops are easier. They're closer together. Yeah. And also, a lot of the drops are on paved roads in the city, so it's actually a lot easier to drive on them. Or in the countryside, everything's like a dirt road. Hey, Chaz. Let's get over that final plane. Is anyone else going there? It looks like somebody else is going to get it. Okay. Do you think that Manhunt and GTA are in the same universe? They are. Michael confirms. He says Carcer City. Well, that's the city I believe Manhunt takes place in, right? Yes, and I like parówki, Polish sausage. I like pierogi, which is kind of like Polish pancakes that have like different things inside them. Do you think that Rockstar will stop updates on PC too? Yes. So I personally think that this year is the last year of GTA Online, because when you really think about it, you know, how much more content can they make on this game? They've pretty much run out of places to put stuff, because think about just think about all the places they put stuff in. Think about, like, for example, all the buildings, warehouses, apartments that they used. They're running out of, you know, buildings that they can use for missions and other businesses and properties. So that's what I think. I think that I don't think the DLC this summer is going to be the last DLC, but I think in the summertime they'll probably tell you December DLC is the final one. Would you be a Soviet or a Chinese citizen during World War II? You're asking me which one would I rather be? Well, both China and the Soviet Union both got invaded, both got heavily destroyed during the war. I would say, I don't know. Would I rather be in China or the Soviet Union during World War II? Both countries were very bad states during the war. I would say that Yeah, I don't know, like China, if you're in China during World War II, it really depends on which side that you're on, whether you're on the nationalist or the communist side, and the thing about that is that the other side is going to want to kill you too, so not only the Japanese, but the other side. Yes, they did. The Soviets did have the highest casualties in World War II. That is true. You're right on that. Yeah, the thing is, they could do a North Yankton heist. They have the map for it. But what could you rob in North Yankton? The thing about it is North Yankton is based on North Dakota, and North Dakota has a lot of, you know, missile silos in real life. The government has missile silos up in North Dakota, and that's so that they can fire at the Soviet Union during the Cold War in case like a nuclear war started. And I could see them doing like some secret government base or something like that in North Yankton, and you have to go there and steal something. I could see them doing that. I don't speak these types of edgy World War II topics. Yeah, I mean, I understand it. It is a bit of a weird question. Well, thank you, Mario, for the super chat. I don't want to talk about, you know, stuff like that. It's just really sad. I don't want to talk about really sad current events right now. But thank you for the super chat, Mario. Why did I change my GTA character? I didn't really change him much. Thank you, Logan Hero, for sponsoring my channel again. Thank you for being a member for a month. Thanks, man. And thank you, Calvin, for subscribing to my channel. Thanks, man. Yeah, well, that's what I say. A naval update, they could definitely do. A naval update, I could see them doing that, yeah. But other than that, I can't really see what else kind of DLC they'll do. I can't see what they'll do. Pro, what made you move to the Midwest, and do you have any tips on someone being a rental homeowner such as yourself? I moved to the Midwest for a few reasons. The first reason is I wanted a change in, you know, scenery, because I was just so used to New York. I wanted to move somewhere else to like a completely different part of the country. Second reason, this is probably the biggest reason that drove me out of New York, is just the cost of living in New York, and the taxes are just so high. They're so high in New York, and I'm not the type of guy that's against paying taxes, but if the taxes are actually used for good things, you know, important things. The problem with New York is the taxes are absolutely through the roof, and the subway system is terrible. There's potholes everywhere. So my question is, what are they doing with all that tax money in New York? Yeah, those were the reasons that I moved out. And also, I didn't want to go to Florida because Florida is just too hot. Nothing against Florida, it's a nice state, but it's just too hot for me. I just can't take the heat. So I wanted to like go somewhere where there's cold winters, and so I went to the upper Midwest. Now, you were asking about the, let me see the other part of your question, about being a rental homeowner. Because I own a rental property. I actually rent out a, I rent out an apartment, and I own a rental house as well. So I'm renting an apartment, but I own my own rental property too. And it's because I don't need that much space. I'm happy with my apartment. I'm happy with the space that I have in the apartment. But I bought a rental property. I bought it for two reasons, really. The first reason that I bought my rental property was because it was so I could, you know, get money from a different source. I didn't want to just be dependent on YouTube. And so I wanted to get money from another way to get money. And so rental property is good for that. Specifically, it's good for that. It helps you build income over time. The second reason that I bought a rental property was it was a way to protect my money too. Because with the government's constantly printing money and inflation is getting out of control, when you put your money into property, especially property in like a developing area, like an area that's attracting more people over time, property values tend to go up over time. So it's a way to protect your money. Because if you just keep your money in the bank right now, technically your money is becoming less and less, you know, valued because of inflation. So you're technically losing money. So it's things are getting more expensive, and even though you have that much money saved up, it's your money is you know, inflation is really starting to hurt it. Bro, you're amazing. Thank you for all you do for the GTA community. Thank you, man. Okay, Yara, is this your final business? I guess I'm gonna go and help somebody else. Because, well, what is that? What kind of van is that there? Anyone else need help? Invite me. Oh, I can't even take it. I think it was part of a mission. But, what I'll say is if I wanted to start my own business, what would you recommend? A rental property. Rental property is technically a business. So it was, rental properties, they're a pretty stable form of income because rental properties, the downside of rental properties is you always know how much you're gonna make. So you don't make more than that in a month. But the plus side is it's pretty much guaranteed income. That's the plus side of it because you're gonna have somebody that's paying rent. And so you know exactly how much money you're going to get at the end of the month, and you know if they don't pay rent eventually, that's you know I guess that's grounds to evict. But it depends on the laws in the state. But I'll say that, do you know what the worst thing that I've seen people do with rental properties? The worst thing that people do, the worst thing that people do with rental properties. Just be careful though, here. But the worst thing that people do with rental properties is that they actually pay for the bills. That's the worst possible thing that people do. And when I mean pay for the bills, they'll pay for electricity, they'll pay for gas, and they'll pay for water in that house. Wait, what? What happened? Why did you... Okay, was that an accident or what happened? Okay. But let me see here. Does anybody else need help selling? No, it's not a griefer. Sophistry is cool. Okay. Let me see here. No, I didn't, JD. I didn't see it. Oh, marked for death. Oh, that was it. Okay. No, it's fine, guys. It's fine. I was marked for death because it was that you know that stupid biker thing. Okay, no, that's that stupid biker thing that happens when you leave the MC and then people can't do anything for 2 minutes. That's pretty much what happens. So no, there's nobody's griefing. It's fine. It's fine. It's okay. Just next time sophistry, just tell me, just message me that because I was just confused on what was going on. But yeah, it's just fine. What I was saying earlier though is the worst thing that you can do when you're running a rental, and I've seen people do this, the worst possible thing that you can do is pay for their bills. That's the worst possible thing you can do, is pay for their electricity, their gas, their water, and their heat. Now, why is that a very bad thing to do? And I'm not, when I'm saying it's a really bad thing, I'm not saying to be cheap. But make sure that your tenants are just the ones who are responsible for the bills for the house, not you. The reason is because if the tenants know that you, the landlord, is paying for the electricity, you're paying for the water, the gas, the heat, cooling, everything, all of that, then they are not gonna care, and they're gonna abuse it, and they're gonna, for example, they will go to work, and they won't be in the house all day, and they'll leave all the lights on in their house because they don't care. And then not only your bulbs get burnt out, you got to replace the bulbs, but not only that, your bills shoot up. So when people aren't paying for something and they know that it's free, they are gonna abuse that as much as possible. They know the landlord's paying for it. So that's why I say is don't, you know, pay for their bills. If you want to be nice, what you can do is you can pay for the lawn to be cut, so they don't have to do that. And what you can do is you can pay for snow blowing if your state has snow. But don't pay for the bills, because that's personally asking for trouble, because people are gonna abuse that. Okay, let's go to Brandon's bunker. Have you ever had a bad tenant? Yes and no. I have had, basically what happened was there was a, I grew up in a rental property when I was a kid. And when I grew up in a rental property, I've seen really bad tenants. My parents owned the property. But my own rental property, my tenants have been great for the most part. There hasn't been any kind of issue, but they already moved out of the house. Their lease expires on June 30th, so they're still gonna, you know, they paid me, you know, they're still gonna be paying me until June 30th. Basically there was some drama between my tenants. I wasn't involved in the drama. It was just, they were just getting into arguments with each other. Like, a few people that were in the house got into a bit of arguments with each other, and then that led to some of them moving out. And that was it. It was just something between them. It was a family issue, and that was just it. But it didn't really affect me, because they still paid rent, and they moved out. So nobody's living in the house now. The house is clean, and, you know, they're still going to be paying for 2 months of rent. So that's that pretty much. Okay. Pro, do you charge for parking? No. The driveway is part of that rental that I own, so it's no. Oh, and here's a tip. Did I sign contract with your tenant? Yes, we have a lease. And there was I already got a new tenant that's moving in July 14th. And so they already signed a lease with me. What I'll say is, if you're interested in, you know, running a rental property one day, it's, you know, it's stable income. So it's not something that's going to make you rich overnight, but it's stable income that you can get. There are some responsibilities to the landlord, obviously. You know, when they need help, you got to go over there and help them and fix things. If they didn't break anything, you have an obligation to fix it, because things break on their own. What else is there that I wanted to say? Yeah, here's the thing. When buying a property, if you want to buy a rental property, what I'll say is that never buy a house that's, you know, older than, I'd say, 30 years. Because me personally, I will only buy a house that is under 20 years old. I will not buy a house that's over 20 years old. That's just my personal thing. Now, I know there's going to be people that are going to be telling me I live in like a 100-year-old house and I don't have problems. Okay, that's fine. I know that there's people that live in old houses and there's no problems. But newer house is going to have a lot less problems over time. You don't got to worry about things breaking. So it's not, you don't have, like, you know, stuff in the house that's like in the walls that's like over 100 years old. So you don't got to worry about things, you know, going wrong in the house. That's why I personally like, you know, younger, newer houses, because I don't have to worry that something's going to go wrong. So I'd rather pay a little bit more and have like a newer house and not have to worry about any problems later on. People just look at the price. That's the first thing they look at. They just say, oh, this house is cheaper, but they don't see how much older that house is than the other house. And that's basically, you know, people do that. Wait, what? Yeah, oh, this is a... Yes, Brandon, you can actually do FAVs with 3 people, yes. Yes, okay, I just didn't realize we had 3 people. You can do it with 3 people, it's possible. Here's how to do FAVs with 3 people, guys. I'll show you what to do. Okay, we're here. Pro, do all apartments come with refrigerators? I'm pretty sure that in most states, if you buy an apartment or you buy a property, I think it has to come with a refrigerator. I think that's what the law is in most states. If you're renting out an apartment, pretty much everywhere you go, it has to have a refrigerator. So that's that. So here's what to do when you how to complete do an FAV with 3 people, guys. Here's what you do. What you do is you drop either 3 or you make either 3 or 4 drops, and then you leave the Dune FAV. And then what you do is you go and you get the other one. You go and you get the other one, and then when one of your friends finishes their Dune FAV, they just go back and get yours. So that's all you got to do. That's how you complete it with 3 people. So for people who say it's impossible to do an FAV with 3 people, it is possible. You just got to be really good at timing. So when you guys are done there, grab my Dune FAV and deliver it. I don't think any apartment I've rented came with a fridge, and I live in California. Look up California laws. Look up whether the apartments have to come with a fridge or not. Because and I'll tell you something, even if it's not the law, if they don't, if I'm gonna rent out an apartment and that apartment has no fridge, no washing machine, nowhere for me to wash and dry my clothes, and they expect me to get all that, I'm not renting from them. Just saying that. That's bad customer service. You know, as a landlord, you want to also provide good customer service to your tenants, and so you want to give them a place to, store their food and, refrigerate their food and be able to wash and dry their clothes. And if you don't provide for that, I think you're a crappy landlord, personally. So that's all I'll say. Okay, let's see here. Got this. Okay, Brandon. Okay, I should be able to make this. How do you say goodnight in Polish Dobranoc? Do I increase rent on my tenants? Basically, if old tenants, no. Basically what happened was, there was a, here's what ended up happening. So, I had my tenants, right? And, the tenants that I had, they were mostly nice people. They didn't cause any problems. They paid their rent. They kept the house clean, and when they moved out, the house was very clean. But what I'll say is that I offered to extend their lease for another year, and I told them that I would not increase the rent at all. And they and what happened was they thought about it for a little bit, and then they told me that they were interested. And so what happens is I use a property management company that helps me to create a lease. So basically, I don't use a property manager. I run my own rental, but I use the property management company to help me create a contract, to help me create a lease. So I pay them to help me create a contract, a lease, and then, you know, send it out to the person, you know, do the background check and everything like that. And what happens is they told me they were interested again. And what happened is the wife signed the lease, but the husband didn't. And then they told me they weren't interested. And then like 2 weeks later passed, they told me they were interested again. And then after that, they told me they weren't interested and sorry, and they apologized for wasting my time. So they did at least apologize. But I was getting a little frustrated because I basically put them at the front of the queue because I had other people that wanted to move into the property, and I put them at the front of the queue, and they kind of delayed it for 2 weeks, so that kind of did annoy me a little bit. But what ended up happening is the new tenant that moved in, I was talking to like my property manager, and we were just basically checking what rent is in my area right now, and if like my house is on like market value. And so we raised the rent by $60. So that was basically what it was, $60. So I kept the rent the same for like it was like the same for like over a year, but the new one that I put up, it went up by $60. But that was mostly, I didn't want to do that, but you know, my property manager basically told me that it's probably best to, like, because of inflation and other things, he said that it's probably best to go raise it by $60. So I ended up doing that. Okay, let me see here. Hey, Pro, I hope you are doing good, and I love how everyone points in the Sopranos. Thank you, Buck. Thanks, man. Hi, Pro. You may or may not know me from Helly as his friend. Figured I'd stop by to say hey and thank you for being a more chill content creator from this rag community. We joke about you at times, but you're great. Well, thank you, Real Savage. Thank you for the super chat. Guys, speaking of which, I'm actually gonna be playing through the new Saints Row DLC. I'll do a playthrough of it. And so we're gonna see where it goes, and we're gonna see whether the cringe continues or not. But yeah, we'll be doing a playthrough of Cringe Row. There was an incident where a tenant hired a bad plumber. He broke the pipes in the sink, which flooded the people's room living in the apartment. Their stuff got wet. Oh, yeah, that really sucks. The thing about that is that might actually be the landlord's fault, not the tenant's fault, depending on the situation, because why is the tenant calling in a plumber? Why is the tenant doing that? The landlord is supposed to call in the plumber, not the tenant. That's the landlord's responsibility to take care of that, not the tenant specifically. I have a guy that I call out for like maintenance work and stuff like that, and so I have him come out and he fixes stuff for me when things go wrong around the house, and I pay him. But it's that's on the landlord. You know, the landlord would be responsible for, like, you know, repairs and stuff like that. So I don't know why they would be calling in a plumber, especially an untrained plumber. But I'll tell you this about I have actually dealt with a flood before, and I've actually had my property be victim of a flood, but it wasn't even my house. It wasn't the house that I own as a rental. It's actually my apartment. So it's not I don't own the apartment. I rent the apartment. But basically, my apartment had gotten flooded. And I live on the 3rd floor. And you're probably wondering, how the hell did your apartment get flooded when you're on the 3rd floor? Basically, what happened was, this happened last year. And it sucks so much because it literally, it was such a terrible experience. Because what happened was, I literally went to, last summer, I went to go visit my family in New York. So I went to go visit my family. Like, the day that I get there, I get a text message from the apartment complex people. So the apartment complex I live, the people that work at the apartment complex, you get a text message from the management, and they say that the fire alarm is going off in my apartment. And I'm like, what? Like, what exactly? And I'm just thinking to myself, I'm like, I didn't leave anything on. I'm very careful. I cleaned everything. Like, what kind of fire could have possibly happened there? So I start panicking at this point. I don't know what happened. What's going on? And so I tell them, you have my permission. Go in the apartment, see what's going on. So they went in the apartment, and they called me back. And basically what happened was, this was not even my fault. What happened is, the guy that lives above me, so the guy lives on the 4th floor, right? What he did is he went into his bathroom, turned on his sink, and he turned on his sink on the hottest water setting possible. So he let the faucet run on the hottest water setting possible. And what he did then is he went on Zoom. So he had like a Zoom phone call. So he plugged the sink in, and he went on a Zoom phone call for 2 hours. And he let that sink run for 2 hours, and it completely flooded his bathroom. His apartment was much worse than mine. I don't know why he went on a Zoom call, or why he plugged the sink in, or why he left it. I never found that out. But he went on a Zoom call for like 2 hours, and basically this flooded his whole apartment. Now, because he lives above me, what happened was the water seeped through his floor into my ceiling. And what actually happened was the water actually hit my light. So my light that was in my bedroom, it actually went into my light. It short-circuited my light. And what actually happened was the hot water went into the fire alarm, which was in the in my apartment, and it hit that. And then the fire alarm started going off like crazy. And the thing is, this happened at like 9 a.m. So this happened like, you know, in the morning, not extremely early, but still in the morning. And some of my neighbors were asleep at that time. And what happens is, the fire alarm, when it goes off, is very, very loud. Like, you will hear it all the way down the hallway, even if you're, so all the way down the hallway from my apartment. And so it woke up a bunch of my neighbors, and a bunch of my neighbors got pissed off at me, and I told them, like, this was not my fault. This was the idiot that was upstairs, so I'm sorry that woke you guys up. But, what ended up happening is, the idiot who flooded my apartment, the water went on my bed. So it went all over my bed, and it basically ruined my bed. It ruined my bed. The bed frame, like the cover, the thing that I put the mattress on, that was at least not damaged. But the mattress, that was all damaged. It was just soaking. It was just disgusting. And you know what ended up happening is I didn't get in contact with the guy who flooded my apartment. I never got in contact with him, but instead they put me in contact with that guy's what was it, his insurance agent. And so I just went back and forth with the guy's insurance agent, and I explained to him everything that I had damaged in my apartment. And basically what, they ended up paying me back. And what did they pay me? They paid me, I think it was, I'd have to look it up. I think it was like, it was over $1,000 though. It was like over $1,000 that they paid me, because they replaced my mattress. They got me a brand new mattress. They replaced my comforter. They replaced a bunch of sheets that got ruined because they were under the mattress. They replaced all my pillows, so that got soaked. So basically that everything's good now. You know, my apartment didn't suffer any permanent damage. The tiles in my bathroom though, some of the tiles got destroyed because of the water damage, and so the apartment maintenance people, they came in and they fixed that and they replaced that. But everything's fine in my apartment. It's happened last year, but it was I was just so happy. I was so happy that it didn't hit my TV, because my TV was like so close to where the water was, and it was like an absolute miracle it didn't hit my TV. My TV's an expensive TV, and so if my TV got hit by that, I would have lost my, you know, I would have been furious. So it was that, but it was just like, it was like a, you know, bad experience, and it was just that. And also, this might sound kind of messed up, but maybe it was actually a good thing that I was in New York, because when that happened, because where the water actually landed, is right where I was sleeping. So imagine I'm just sleeping, and then all of a sudden the hot water just hits me, and the fire alarm goes off. So I don't know how hot it would have been if it would have hurt me, but I'm just happy that you know, at least I wasn't sleeping on the bed when that happened. So that's yeah, but yeah, he got caught. His insurance agent, you know, his insurance agent, you know, paid me everything. So his insurance rep talked to me, and you know, we got all of that done and everything. I had to sign a contract with his insurance company, though. I had to sign a contract, and the contract basically stated that I wasn't going to pursue any more legal damages against him. That was basically I had to sign that. So I got and I'm not a scumbag. You know, I'm not one of those people that like wants more from something. All I basically wanted is I just wanted my stuff replaced. That's just basically it. So that was it. So so I got, you know, my mattress replaced, and I got the exact same mattress that I had, but it's brand new, and I had gotten a new comforter. So the comforter that I had gotten was a little bit more expensive than my last comforter, but you know, I pretty much had just all my stuff replaced. So I wasn't looking really for you know, more than what my stuff was worth. I just wanted my stuff replaced. That's pretty much it. But the guy was kind of you know, I just don't know how you can be that careless personally. So it was just. It was like a little bit over $1,000 that he paid me. Did he do it on purpose? I highly doubt he did it on purpose. Oh, I gotta leave the area. Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. If I missed your membership message, I'm sorry. Imagine a mission in the Saints Row Reboot DLC where you hack something to clear everyone's student debt and give them free coffee. I can imagine Saints Row will do something like that. If I said $1,000 earlier, I'm sorry. I meant to say just $1,000 a grand, but it was a little bit over $1,000 that they paid for in damages. Okay, I'm converting. How do you deal with squatters? What I'll say about that is, there was a, it depends on where you are. It depends on what state you're in. Because, and I'm not trying to insult anybody's state when I say this, but there are some states that their laws are just so ridiculous, they're almost like pro-squatting in a way. There are some states, like Illinois is really bad with this. Like, you know, Illinois, that state, the same state where Chicago is, that state is horrible with that. If you have a squatter in your house, it's so hard to get them out. I saw this one news story once about this, it was about this woman who she basically, what happened was her mother passed away, and so she had gotten her mother's house. And after she got her mother's house, she tried to turn her mother's house into a rental property. And what happened was, with the, oh yeah, it is an ambush. With the house, right? What happened is this random squatter just moved into the house. And when he moved in the house, he changed all the locks. So he moved in the house, he changed all the locks. And what happened is, the story gets crazier. Because the guy is actually a drug dealer. So not only is he a squatter, but he's a drug dealer. And so he's living in this house, he's changed the locks, and he's dealing drugs. He's doing drug deals in the house. He never leaves the house, by the way. He never does. He orders DoorDash. He orders Uber Eats. So there's no way for the woman to get in the house. And the guy has a Rottweiler, too, which makes this... It literally sounds like something you'd hear on The Onion, because it's how ridiculous this story is. But this is like a real story. So he changed the locks in the doors, moved in, selling drugs from the house, and he has like a Rottweiler dog. what ended up happening is the woman tried to call the police several times, and every single time she tried to call the police, she shows them proof that this is her house, but the police just say, we can't do anything about this. Sorry, man, we can't do anything about it. It's like, what the hell do you mean you can't do anything about it? You got a guy dealing drugs from the property, and it's living in some poor woman's house. It's like, get him the hell out of the house. It's as simple as that. But it's some of Chicago's stupid laws, and the police actually did want to help. They did, but it was the laws that are in Chicago are just so stupid that it's just so hard to get somebody out of the house if they're squatting. And so the guy, when the police went up to the door, the guy would just claim that he's a tenant. He would just claim, I'm a tenant, and stuff like that. But the thing about that is that if he's a tenant, all the police gotta basically do is they gotta say, show me your lease. Show me your lease. That's all you gotta do. And if they can't provide a lease, get them the hell out of the house. It's as simple as that. But that's, let's say, is that some properties literally cannot, some states are just so stupid when it comes to that, is that, like, states like Illinois, like, or just, I don't know why, I don't know what the situation is right now with that woman, because she's been trying to get, the guy's been in the house for months, and she's been trying to get this guy out of the house, but that's like a nightmare. I would not be sleeping well if I was her, though, knowing that some drug dealer's living in my house. So that's like, it's just messed up. But just go on Google, look it up, like, squatter dealing drugs, living in a woman's house, Illinois, you'll probably find the story. But what else was it about it? I'm just trying to think. But here's what I'll say about it is, if you have a squatter that's in your house, right? And the government is refusing to do anything about it, like the government is refusing to help you evict the guy or the girl, whoever's in the house, you can't put your hands on them. You can't throw them out of your house yourself, nor do I recommend that. It's dangerous. Don't do that. But there is one thing that you can technically do, and I wouldn't recommend it also because it can be dangerous. But basically, all you basically gotta do is you gotta enter the house. That's all you gotta do. Because if there's a squatter that's living in your house, it's still your house. The squatter cannot stop you from entering the house. So if you want to enter the house, you can't throw the squatter to the house, but the squatter can't stop you from entering the house. And technically, I guess, since the squatter has their stuff in your house, you have the right, technically, I guess, I would have to look up the law specifically in the areas, you would have the right to remove their stuff. And if they try to put their hands on you and try to touch you, they get arrested. So that's the thing is, so I wouldn't recommend that either, because you don't know, these squatters could be very violent, but they can't stop you from going into your house, because it's your house. So, and if they try to touch you, they're gonna get arrested. So that's one thing that I will say. But other than that, I don't recommend that personally, because it could be dangerous too. So, but yeah, it's very hard to get squatters out of your house sometimes, and the government, when they're not doing their job, it can be a nightmare. Okay. Look at the chat here. Well, thank you for the super chat, Dreadnought. Did I have annoying neighbors in my time? Yes, I have had annoying neighbors. What do you think of the current state of GT Online? I mean, I think that GT Online is really past its prime. I don't think that GT Online is really going to, I can't really imagine any more DLCs like Cayo Perico, like, at least on that scale, I can't imagine it personally. Oh. Why is a motorcycle here? This is weird. If you see those cops chasing you, by the way, those cops are some of the strangest NPCs in the game. The reason they're strange is because those cops can go after you even when you don't have a 1 level, but if you return fire on them, you'll immediately get a 1 level, so don't shoot back at those undercover cops. Oh, okay, I'm converting. Do you think GTA Online made devs lazy? A little bit, yeah. Would I like to see a Bikers Part 2 for GTA Online? Yes, I would love to see a Bikers Part 2. And the thing about it is that, I'll tell you this. If there was a Bikers Part 2, I know exactly what I would want in that DLC. First things that I would want is I'd want a pool table. Don't you guys think that the biker clubhouse should have the pool table? Like, I mean, who for example thought that who thought that darts was like a good idea? I'm not saying that darts shouldn't have been in he just killed him just so that it could end the marked for death thing. But bikers would be playing pool. They wouldn't be playing darts. And so in the Lost MC clubhouse, you had a pool table. So why don't you have a pool table in that? So I'd like to see a pool table in GTA 5. I would definitely like to see it. What else? What else will I say about it? Yeah. So I'd like to see a pool table, and I'd like to see like the MC businesses. Like, I'd like to see the MC businesses upgraded, like different cell missions, like custom cell missions, maybe stuff like that. And maybe they could do it. Maybe they could do something like, maybe they could do something like you could combine the shipments. Like, imagine that, if you could combine, like, the coke, the meth, and stuff like that, and, like, maybe they had it, like, where there's, like, a specific buyer in, like, a week, on, like, a day. Like, something like Moonshiners in Red Dead Online, where there's, like, a specific buyer of certain things. And so, like, maybe he wants, like, 2 boxes of meth, 3 boxes of coke, or something like that, and you put that together. I know the nightclub kind of did that, but I'd like to see, like, a revamp of the whole MC businesses. I'd like to definitely see that, because the thing is, these really stupid missions, like the post op, they gotta go. They're really dumb. Ow. Damn. 45 months, as in the caliber of my favorite handgun. Well, thank you, Chasserody. Are you talking about the 1911 by any chance? I just read that it takes 6 to 8 months for a squatter to be kicked out in Chicago. Do you know what would change that really quickly? Do you know how that would, I'll tell you that. You know how that would change really fast? If the squatters started squatting in the politicians' homes, I guarantee you that the laws would change really quickly if that started happening. If they actually went and they said, oh, I'm gonna squat in, like, the mayor's house or the district attorney's house, I guarantee you if that happened, that the laws would change very, very fast if that happened. But the thing about it is the politicians have money to pay for private security. The common citizen doesn't have that money. And so that's why the squatters won't get near their houses. $47 months. So thank you, Lewis. Thanks, man. Thank you. Nearly 4 years now. Well, Isaiah, what I'll say is that For anybody that beat, like, the story in Call of Duty World War II, didn't you guys think the story in Call of Duty World War II was good? I thought it was good for the most part. I thought it was kind of short, but I thought the story in Call of Duty World War II was actually pretty good. The story in Vanguard was bad. It was just bad, unlike, like, the, thank you, Lewis. The story in Vanguard just didn't make much sense to me. I mean, we can, Ricky, but the thing is, the thing is though, is that I don't think I really said anything political. I just basically said that it's just there's just some stupid laws that that don't let you get rid of squatters in your house. That's just it. But if you don't want me to talk about it, I'll stop talking about it. Wait, what? What, Thunder? You were marked for death, I think, for leaving the MC skull, but... Okay, I need to drop this here. Oh, well, I don't know then, Thunder. Okay, well, yeah, I don't know then I'm converting. Okay, Skull, well, it's, I guess they just didn't want you in the MC. I guess could you help another person in another MC then? I just personally don't get involved in arguments, so I just try to stay neutral and stay out of this. Okay, I'll see you, Jacob. Take care, man. Wait, what, Ricky? What do you think about Battlefield Hardline? I don't think Battlefield Hardline was that bad of a game, honestly. Like, I think the people that were hating on the game, I don't get it personally. Like, it wasn't an amazing game, sure. But Battlefield Hardline wasn't a bad game either. So it was like, I don't know what some people, I don't know what, some people were saying about it. Like, I can understand why some people got upset because it's a different setting. Because Battlefield Hardline is criminals versus cops. That's pretty much what it is. So it's like the first Battlefield game that's not a war game, when you really think about it. So I can understand why people, got a bit upset about that. But the thing is, me being like I specialize in crime games. That's what I specialize in. The majority of the games that I play on my channel are crime games. And so I like crime games in general. I just do. And so that was, I liked Battlefield Hardline because of that. So I didn't think that it was like, that bad of a game, personally. And like, and the thing about it is that, I like the story in the game. How, like, in the story, you're on both sides of the law. That's what I like in the story. Like, it's like, you start out as like a good, honest cop, and then you get screwed over by a bunch of corrupt cops. And then you fall in with a bunch of criminals, and then you start committing crimes because you just don't care anymore at this point. And so that's just like, you go from like being a good, honest cop to like, working with different gangs and stuff like that. So I did like, Hardline story. I thought it was unique and I thought it was different. What city did Hardline take place in again? Was it LA? Was it LA or was it Florida? I can't remember now. What city was Hardline mostly in? I think it was LA, right? It was LA. I think it was that. Okay, yeah, it was LA. I gotta play the multiplayer on Hardline one day. I gotta see people still play it, because there was that one mode where like the robbers are trying to escape and the cops are trying to stop them. I actually like that mode. So that was I gotta go back and play it one day. But Hardline wasn't a bad game. So it was just like, it wasn't, Hardline wasn't an amazing game, but it wasn't a bad game either. That's what I'll say about it. No, I don't think so. I don't think I know anyone like that. What makes a dictator? Somebody who has absolute power and can do what they want and no one can stop them. I think Battlefield Hardline was eventually actually going to get a sequel, but it didn't get it because of the backlash that it got, unfortunately. Can you speak Vietnamese? No, I can't. Kenny Jiro, thank you for the super chat. Hey, Pro, did you ever hear the World War II Battle of Castle Itter, where U.S. and Wehrmacht forces fought together against SS forces? Yes, I heard about that. That was right at the end of the war. It was like the last week of the war in Europe. So it was like right when Germany was about to collapse. There was like a Wehrmacht like captain, I think, who got a bunch of like soldiers, volunteers that wanted to help the U.S. I wonder where the German soldiers that helped the American soldiers in that battle, were they treated as prisoners of war afterwards? I gotta look that up. I'm curious about that. How long did it take you to get a billion? Over years of grinding. But thank you for not accusing me of modding or glitching, because when a lot of new people that come into like my streams will actually accuse me of being a modder or a glitcher. I'm not either. I earned that billion. I can drive it if you want. Okay. Oh, what the? Yes, Brothers in Arms Hell's Highway, I would do it. I would do that one day. If you could speak Vietnamese one day, would you? Sure, if I can learn another language, I'm always open to it. But the thing about it is, here's what I'll say, is that never learn another language unless you have somebody to speak it to. That's what I'll say about it. Because if you learn a language, but you don't have anybody to speak it to, it's gonna hurt, because you're gonna forget over time. And I think that's the problem, is, like, for example, most Americans, if they learn a second language, it's oftentimes Spanish. But that's because Spanish is a very common language in America, and there's plenty of people that you can speak Spanish to. But one course that's actually offered in schools is French. French is like a language that's offered in a lot of American schools, and people take French because they think that it's cool learning French, which it is. Don't get me wrong, but the thing about it is, if you don't know anybody to speak French to, then you're gonna forget your language over time. We're gonna forget the language that you learned. What was it? What was it? That guy. So if you have like a Vietnamese friend, or somebody that you know that speaks Vietnamese, it's great learning Vietnamese, because then you could you could learn a new language, and you can also speak with that person. They'll correct you along the way. But this goes for pretty much all languages. Even I speak Polish with my parents, because I learned Polish from them. But there's nobody else that I can really speak Polish to. Sometimes I can speak Polish at some of the Polish stores in New York if I go in there. Or I can maybe speak Polish to some people online. But if I didn't have my parents to speak Polish to constantly, I'd forget it. I would. So that was so that's what I'll say is that it's good to learn a language that you're going to that you're gonna at least be able to speak to somebody over time. Make a turn here. It goes faster. Okay, never mind. Oh god. I'm surprised it didn't kill me. I forgot how to speak German because I took it in school. That's exactly what I'm talking about. Is that if you don't have anybody to speak this language to, you're gonna forget it over time. It's gonna happen. The thing about it is if somebody moves to another country, and they never really speak their language anymore, they'll forget their own language. It's not something that's gonna happen overnight, but over decades. That can happen. There's that one character in the Metro games. I forget. There's that one character. He's an American, and he's an American that got trapped in Russia after a nuclear apocalypse. This is in the Metro video games, and so that American guy that's been trapped in Russia after the nuclear apocalypse, he's spoken Russian for like 20 or 30 years in the game. And so he has forgotten how to speak English because of that, because there's no one to speak English to. So even though it was his native tongue, there was nobody to speak it to because he was speaking Russian for the next 20 or 30 years. Yeah, so that can happen too. Yes, imagine that you don't speak English for like 30 years. Just imagine that. And you have like there's a strong chance that you could forget a lot of it, even if it's the language that you were born speaking. So the point that I was getting at is I'd always be open to learning another language. I'd be open to learning Vietnamese too. But if I knew somebody that spoke Vietnamese though, because if I don't know anybody that speaks a specific language, there's not really a point in me learning that language because I'm just gonna forget it over time, and there's no one for me to speak it to. So unless I visit Vietnam, if I visit it, as a tourist, then maybe that'll help. But how many times are you could just visit as a tourist as a country? I am actually learning a bit of Spanish, so I try to learn Spanish, every day on Duolingo. I know Duolingo isn't going to make you a fluent speaker, but it's better than nothing. And so I've been trying to get better at that. Hi, Pro. I've been doing research on games, and I do like histories as well. Oh, thank you for the super chat, Truck. Thanks, man. What research have you been doing on them? Are Russian and Ukrainian the same? No. Russian and Ukrainian are more similar to each other. But they're not. They're in other languages, but they're not. They're not the same. A lot of Ukrainians do speak Russian, but a lot of Russians don't speak Ukrainian. So that's about that. Hello, ¿cómo estás, professional? Yo soy, bueno, mucho gusto. Hope I pronounced that correctly. How many countries formed after the Soviet Union? Well, if you count Russia, Ukraine, Belarus, Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, Turkmenistan, Tajikistan, what's the other ones? Kyrgyzstan, if I'm pronouncing that one correctly. 11? Did I mention Ukraine and Belarus? Yes, I think I did. And Armenia, right? Armenia. I forgot Armenia. And Georgia and Armenia, right? Georgia, Armenia, and Azerbaijan too. Georgia, Armenia, and Azerbaijan. So like 14 or 15 countries. And Moldova. I forgot Moldova. Right. Tak, że jestem z Polski, the professional, umiem czytać po polsku. Tak, ja umiem czytać trochę po polsku, nie wszystko. I hope that understood it. He was basically asking me if I can read Polish, and I told him I can read some Polish. I can speak Polish fluently, but I cannot read Polish. I never learned how to read. Does anybody have a heist ready that you want to do? Thank you, Victor. I remember finding a Polish meme where you can tell someone is Polish just by the letters in their name. Well, a lot of Polish names are, Ski is a very common Polish name. You know, if there's an SZ at the end of a Polish name, that's common that's Polish as well. Thank you, Tez. And thank you, Kenijiro. But Kenijiro, did you understand what I meant about the languages before? I said Kyrgyzstan, if I'm pronouncing it correctly. Okay, yeah. Yeah, I'd be open to learning Vietnamese one day. It's just only if I have somebody that I could speak it to, then I'd be open to it. But I don't want to. I'm just trying to learn Spanish right now, and then I could probably learn another language after that one day too. Well, the thing about it is that, do you know what? I'll tell you guys something. Is everybody? Here's what people assume. A lot of people falsely assume that people from Poland are 100% Slavic. When that's not true. The Slavic Polish are the vast majority of Poles out there, but they aren't all the Poles. For example, I'll tell you this: I am 100% Polish American. But even though I'm 100% Polish, my ancestry, I'm actually about 70% Slavic. So I'm not fully full Slavic. Now the reason Slavic is the main ethnic group that's in Poland. The other 30% I'm a Tatar, so I'm a Polish Tatar. So for people that don't know, the Tatars are not a people that were originally native to Poland. They are actually a people that are originally from Central Asia, and they came into Poland, nearly 1,000 years ago. So it was like, so they came into Poland centuries ago. They actually originally came as invaders, but then they settled in Poland, and so, I am, 70% Slavic and 30% Tatar. My grandmother, she was 100% Polish Tatar, so she wasn't even 1% Slavic. Man, this is some pretty good flying skills. But the thing about it is the Tatars actually have their own language, but it's virtually extinct, almost. Like very few people know how to speak it. Even the Crimean Tatars, they don't know how to speak it, and that's where most of them originally settled from. But they don't. A lot of them. My grandmother didn't know how to speak it, and so that language is very, very, very rare today. For people, for anybody who doesn't know who is confused who the Tatars are in history, if anybody has played Kingdom Come Deliverance, you know the game Kingdom Come Deliverance, the Cumans in that game, how the Hungarian king is using the Cuman mercenaries. It's like those guys with like those big metal masks and like the pointy hats. Those are, a lot of them are Cuman Tatars. So those are the people that I'm also related to. But those are Hungarian Tatars. I'm a Polish Tatar. Let me see here. Well, the reason that there's so many Tatar speakers in Russia is because the Soviet Union created a province for them called Tatarstan. I think Tatarstan is what it's called, and so there's a huge number of Tatars in that region, and so they speak their language. But were the Tatars part of the Mongolian Empire? Yes. They fought for the Mongolian Empire, but they were conquered by the Mongolians. So they were soldiers for the Mongolians, but when the Mongolians conquered them, the Tatars enlisted in their armies. So that's that. Let me go here. I'll go to the marks here. No, not SpongeBob's best friend. Well, here's what I'll say is the Tatars did do, some bad things in their history. When they came into like Europe, they came in originally with the Mongolians as invaders. But the thing is, though, is that today people are not responsible for what their ancestors did, especially like 800 years ago. But the Tatars also did do good things. They did do good things that you don't hear about a lot of times. A lot of times when you hear about them in history, you hear about them as invaders, which they get a bad rep specifically for that. But they did do some good things, like the Tatars in Poland, for example. They were given I'll accept the invite to the business whenever you invite me. But the Tatars in Poland, they were given what is this mission? They were given what's the term? What is the term called? What's the thing called? I'm trying to remember what it's called. What is it called when the government stops pursuing you and they let you stay? I'm trying to remember what the thing is called. It's the same thing that the king did to the pirates in the Caribbean. The British king did to the pirates a long time ago. But anyways, basically what happened is the Polish king had allowed them to stay in Poland and basically told them to stop getting into wars, and if they recognize the Polish crown as the monarchy, they'll be allowed to stay and keep their culture and keep their religion. And so for the most part, a lot of them agreed to stay, and they agreed to stop fighting. And so the Tatars, one of the good things that they did do is the Tatars attacked the Teutonic Knights. They did that. The Teutonic Knights were knights that were from Germany. Originally, Germany didn't exist as a country, but there were a bunch of German states. But the Teutonic Knights were knights that were mostly from the German states at the time. And what happened was the Teutonic Knights caused a lot of problems in Poland. They did a lot of really bad things in Poland, and so they deserved to get attacked. So the Tatars, when they attacked them, they actually did a really good thing by stopping them. But basically, the Teutonic Knights, when they came into Poland, the Polish king kind of brought them in as mercenaries and missionaries at the same time. Because the Polish king brought in the Teutonic Knights into Poland originally to try to convert the pagans. Because Poland is actually not originally a Catholic country; it used to be pagans. There was actually a Polish kingdom at one point that was pagan, and so the Polish had their own Slavic gods that they worshipped, like 1,000 years ago. And so the Polish king had brought them in, the Teutonic Knights, to try to convert the Polish pagans towards Catholicism. But instead of doing that, the Teutonic Knights just basically went into the Polish pagan villages, just burnt them down, and just mass murdered them. And so this got the Polish king very upset because they were supposed to convert them, which is still kind of wrong to force their religion on them, but they weren't supposed to kill them. But the Teutonic Knights did that, and they didn't care. And so the Teutonic Knights were granted part of land in Poland, and what they did was, the land that they got, they kept pushing the border farther and farther and farther. So they kept saying, this is our land, this is our land. They kept pushing the border, and eventually the Polish king just had enough of it and just declared war on them. And so the Polish king actually used the Tatar cavalry to actually attack the Teutonic Knights, and they wiped the Teutonic Knights out. They just destroyed them. So that was it. So these were bad guys, bad knights that were in Poland, causing a lot of problems. And so that was one of the things. The one good thing the Tatars did was that they just basically took apart the Teutonic Knights, which was definitely a good thing. Another good thing that they did also do is that they also helped to stop the Ottoman conquests, because the Polish king actually used Tatar cavalrymen to stop the Ottomans, who were actually coming into, they were invading Europe. This was in the 15th century. Oh, there's a casino heist. I'll just join the casino heist. Yeah, I'll do the casino heist. So in the 15th century, the Ottomans were actually invading, and the Ottomans had taken over Greece. They took over Greece. They took over the Balkans. They were about to take over Austria, and so the Polish king went to go help the Austrians. Had also brought the Tatar cavalrymen with him, because the Tatars were mostly known as being cavalrymen. That's what they were mostly known for. One of the things that Kingdom Come Deliverance, when you see the Cumans in that game, most of the time they're on foot, but they were mostly known as being really good cavalrymen. Like, they really knew how to ride. They were really good with that, and they were really good with arrows. Like, bow and arrow, being on horseback and bow and arrows, that's what the Tatars specialized in mostly. That was just what they were really good at. So they were used mostly as horse archers, and they were very, very good at that, at what they did. But there's very interesting history that you can oftentimes read about this. So that I'm ready about this whenever you get the chance here. Let's see here. I'll use this disguise. Pat, you missed my super chat from 4 years ago. What did you want to ask me 4 years ago? I'm sorry that I missed it. There's a lot of comments but my streams 4 years ago were actually there was this. I had no filter on it, and the chat was just going up really crazy. Also, whoever's MC I was in before I joined the heist, just message me and let me know that I was in your MC beforehand, and I'll help you with your businesses whenever after the stream. I'm just gonna get something to eat after the stream. Amnesty was the thing. Yeah, that was what it was. It was amnesty. But here's something that I'll tell you guys about the Tatars that people don't know about. And this is what's gonna sound like. This is gonna sound really messed up. It's really messed up history that a lot of people don't know about. But for example, that region that Russia annexed of Ukraine in 2014, the Crimea, the Crimean Peninsula, the first part of Ukraine that they annexed in 2014. Do you know that part of Ukraine, when the Russians are saying that land was historically Russian, that's a bunch of lies and it's a bunch of propaganda, and I can prove it. The Crimean Peninsula was historically actually controlled by the Tatars. The Tatars actually had their own country there for hundreds of years called the Crimean Khanate, and the state was actually an ally of the Ottoman Empire at the time. And the Ottoman Empire and the Russian Empire signed a treaty agreeing not to annex the land. But the Russian Empire decided to annex the land regardless of the treaty, so they broke the treaty with the Ottomans and they annexed the land. And so the Tatars were actually the vast majority of the people that actually lived on the land. They were the vast majority. They were over 50% of the people, so they were more than the Russians and the Ukrainians that actually lived in Crimea. And what ended up happening is they are a very small minority now. And you're probably wondering, why are they such a small minority now if they were the majority in the past? Oh, good shot there. The reason that they are actually a minority now is because in 1944, what actually happened was Stalin sent the NKVD, which was the Soviet secret police, into Crimea. And so what Stalin did was he deported all of the Tatars off their land. And he would accuse the Tatars of collaborating with the Germans, which some of them did collaborate with the Germans, but the vast majority of them didn't. And so the Soviets didn't care whether the people that they were deporting was a collaborator or not. And so they deported the vast majority of the Tatars that actually lived there. There was actually a few Soviet Tatar war heroes who actually had their families deported. There was one guy, I forget his name, but he was actually a pilot. Man, Lester just keeps cutting me off. I'm trying to tell this history thing. There was a Soviet pilot. He was a pilot ace. I forget his name. But if you look him up, just look up Soviet Tatar pilot ace. Basically what happened with him is he was, one of the greatest heroes of the Soviet Union. He shot down so many Nazis during the war. And what ended up happening to him is he went to Crimea on leave, where his family was. And the NKVD were actually in the process of evicting his family and throwing his family off of their land. And he tried to intervene, and he told the Soviet NKVD officer that he's a hero of the Red Army. He even showed his medal, the hero of the Soviet Union, and the NKVD officer didn't care. And so what ended up happening is his squad actually backed him up on that, and his squad, the other Soviet pilots, backed him up on that, and they said, this is our friend, you're not going to deport his family. And his squad, they took a very big risk by standing up to the NKVD, because if they had, the NKVD could have killed them, and they were very brutal police. And what ended up happening is, surprisingly, the NKVD actually agreed to back off, and they kept his family from being deported, but he suffered from massive depression after the war, that his own government had tried to do that to his people. For what happened to the remaining Tatars, the Tatars were actually marched off to Siberia. A lot of them ended up settling in Tatarstan, which is actually a far eastern Russian province, and a lot of them actually didn't make the trip. They actually died. They died from the cold, or they were sent to gulags. So that's actually what happened to the original inhabitants of Crimea. The Soviet Stalin brutally threw off the original inhabitants, which only 70 years ago, over half of the population of Crimea was Tatars. And then what did Stalin do? He settled the area of Russians. So he put ethnic Russians into the area. And then the Russians to this day are saying that the area was always historically Russian. Absolute nonsense. Absolute lie. Complete BS. Nonsense. Look it up. Look up what happened to the original inhabitants. They were brutally deported in 1944. So it just personally pisses me off when I see this stupid Russian propaganda going around, and they're saying, oh, Crimea was always historically Russian. No, it wasn't. The Tatars were the ones who settled on that land. And then what happened was, in the 50s, Khrushchev actually gave Crimea to the Ukrainians as a gift. But the land was settled mostly by Tatars, so it wasn't the Russians. It wasn't historically part of of Russia. That's a complete lie. The Tatars had lived there for hundreds of years. The Russians had lived there, maybe mostly 70 years. It was part of the Russian Empire for a few hundred years, but the Russians were only the majority of the people for 70 years. So that's when you look up these things, you can find out some things that people don't want you to know about, and that's one thing the Russians try to hide. They try to hide that fact, and they don't want people to know about that what they did to the original inhabitants of that land. Let me see here, and also for the remaining Tatars, that there are still some Tatars that actually still live in Crimea, but the Tatars who still live in Crimea, they want the land to be part of Ukraine. They don't want it to be part of Russia. So that's something that the Russians have heavily lied about and people don't know about. And here's another fact for you guys, the people that you might not know about. But after the Soviet Union actually collapsed, Tatarstan, that region that's actually in the far east of Russia, where they actually had a referendum. And they had a referendum, do you want to be part of Russia or do you want to be an independent country? And look this up, Tatarstan referendum. The vast majority of the people in that referendum actually voted to leave, to become an independent country. Russian military didn't recognize that. They instead rolled in, and they actually prevented them from leaving and held them there by force. And so the Russian Constitution actually prevents secession. It prevents any country from leaving the Russian Federation. They can't. Secession is actually considered treason under the Russian Constitution. But now you see how hypocritical this is, because Russia will support. They will support secession movements in other countries. They'll support, especially if it comes to destabilizing other countries. They'll support countries. If anybody wants to join Russia, feel free to join Russia. Feel free to be part of our country. You're pro-Russian. You want to break away from like Ukraine, or you want to break away from Georgia. You want to be part of Russia. Go ahead. But if you want to leave Russia, oh no, you can't do that. So that's the thing that the Russian media won't tell you about stuff like that. And the story actually gets kind of crazy, because when the Russian military actually prevented Tatarstan from being an independent country, they promised Tatarstan that they would have greater freedom in the Russian Federation, that they have more states' rights. But what actually happened is, over time, the Russian government has taken away the states' rights from Tatarstan. So Tatarstan has actually lost more states' rights over time. So these are some things that you can actually learn about that you might not necessarily know about. But I'm gonna take the car out to get out here personally. But these are some things that you can actually read about. And I just personally, I can't stand it when I see the propaganda and like people just listen to the propaganda. They don't know the actual history or what actually happened. Is there a guy in here? Oh, there is. I'm gonna knock this guy out here. Knock this guy down. Take this guy down here. Okay.
Take out these cars before they become
okay, sure. I wish you could mute Lester on this heist. He's so annoying.
And this one. Alright, we're good.
Okay, good work. Let's get out of here. We're doing really good on this heist.
Hopefully we don't get the glitch.
Listen up, we have bad news and good news. The bad news is they did a spot check on the vault, so they know it's been robbed. The good news is they have no idea who or how. The cops are on their way, but you can still make it out undetected if you do exactly what I say. If you're caught now, the shit really hits the fan.
Okay, is everyone...
The camera just went down. It'll be back.
Everyone ready? Let's get out of here.
We're all good. We're all good. We're all good.
Nice, good work, everyone. Perfect run.
We did get alerted at least once.
Yeah, let's keep that way and let's go.
Oh, I missed Mike's super chat. I'm really sorry. I'm sorry. Anybody's super chat that I missed, I apologize. Let me just go and Oh, Mike, I'm sorry. And thank you, Caliber. Okay, I will read these super chats in just one moment. Let me just get away from the cops here.
If you guys want to speedrun route, follow me.
No, I don't smoke any kind of drugs. Okay.
Hey, Mark. Follow me.
Oh, the Fast and Furious movies are really stupid today. I'll answer Caliber's super chat in just one moment here. Go.
Okay, follow me.
Can we see here? I saw a car accident in person. The vehicle ended up on its side, though thankfully the driver was okay. Well, at least the driver was okay. What? Whose fault was it, though, Mario? But and thank you, Caliber. Hi, Patrick. I was wondering if it's okay to join the North Yankton chat. I understand that there are rules to follow. basically the chat that we have, it's a personal chat. We'd have to everyone has to vote in the chat. That's what we do, is you vote, and if you know, it's like a personal group chat on PlayStation that we have, and it's everyone, everyone has to vote in the chat. So if everyone votes in the chat and says you're okay to come in, then I could add you to the group chat.
Mark, you're gonna have to swap over here for the route.
The driver he was driving recklessly. When he got into the traffic queue, he tried to overtake on the left, only to spin out and roll. Oh. I've seen 2 accidents happen. I've seen 2 accidents happen once. The first accident that I've ever seen in my life, it was pretty bad. Nobody was really hurt, but the cars were completely destroyed. Basically, the first accident that I've seen, what is it? The first accident that I've ever seen that I remember it was in 2012. It was right after Hurricane Sandy, and it was in New York. And so the power was out. On a lot of the street lights, the power was out, and the red light, the lights were broken. And so what ended up happening is... Wait, who's talking right now?
Me. It's just a route that I take for the
okay.
challenge.
Well, let me just tell this story just really quick. But basically, what happened is there was I remember that me and my dad were driving around. I'm trying to remember what we were doing. I think we were getting groceries or something else. It was like the day after Hurricane Sandy, and what happened was this one car was pulling out of a Dunkin' Donuts, and I remember it was a student that a kid that I actually went to school with. It was him and his dad. And we were in the same grade together, and he was pulling out, and I guess the intersection there was like an intersection right there, and I guess some of the lights weren't working because people were driving like crazy, and just smashed right into them, and everyone was okay, but the car, both of the cars' fronts were completely destroyed. I saw another thing once, another accident. It was actually in retail. I was in the parking lot. I was collecting carts, and I saw a bunch of cars just smash into each other. I don't remember whose fault it was, how it happened. I just heard the bang, and I just saw them both just smashed into each other. Later on, I actually found out what happened with that accident. The thing about that is that the 19-year-old, I think he was 19 years old, he was driving like a pickup truck, and I think it was his fault, but what ended up happening, the retail crash that I saw, apparently this is what I heard, but for what I heard from my coworkers later on is that kid actually was scared to call his dad because the truck got smashed, but he thought that his dad was going to be really angry at him, but his dad was actually more worried that his son was okay. So his dad was like, the trucks, can be fixed, but it's like, you're my son, and you're what I care about primarily. Oh, we got the elite challenge here. Good work. We did that quickly. Nice. In July, do you think we can play Red Dead Online? My PSN is Binded Eagle. Also, what do you think of the double shooting in Serbia? It's horrible. I don't really want to comment on things like that because it's just so bad right now. But it's just really horrible, and my heart goes out to all the victims in that. Oh, I gotta mute this because of it's just that, and it's just another one happened after the other one. It was a copycat. It's horrible. Thank you for the super chat, and thank you Badass for sponsoring my channel. Thank you for the super chat too. Oh, you're pretty new to Reddit Online. I could help you, Violent Eagle. But do you know what do you know what the craziest car accident that I've ever heard about? I haven't seen this car accident, but I saw the effects of it afterwards. Basically, what happened was, and can somebody, anybody? I'm sure there's somebody in the chat here who knows about cars. Can somebody explain to me how this happened? I'll tell you what happened. But basically, my coworker, it was when I was working in retail, this is years ago, a supervisor of mine, right? She was getting into her car, and she was just pulling out, and as she was just pulling out, an insane customer smashed into her car. And it wasn't somebody that was pissed off at her or anything like that. It was just somebody that was just speeding in the parking lot, because that parking lot at the shopping center where I worked, I hated that parking lot. That parking lot was so unsafe, because there was people would just drive like reckless idiots, and there was cars constantly pulling out. There was like, that parking lot probably had more than 100 cars parked in it. And so I hated that parking lot, because it would get full. Every spot would get full, and people would drive like 60, 70 miles per hour in this parking lot when people were constantly going between cars and pulling out. And so what happened is, she was pulling out her car just lightly, and the customer just smashes into her car. I don't know how fast the customer was going, but it gotta be fast, because the whole car was just smashed. She was okay. She was a bit shook up, but she was okay for the most part. But here's the crazy thing. After her car got smashed, the whole car burst into flames. Like the engine, it was like a little bit of a fire. And then what happened was the fire just started getting bigger and bigger and rapidly expanded, and just her whole car got burst into flames. She got out of the car, she wasn't hurt, but if she stayed in the car, she would have been burnt alive. But it was that the whole car had this burst into flames. I don't even know why that happened. Can somebody in the comments explain to me why that happened? Like, why another car smashing another car would do that? Because I didn't think that could happen. Like, I didn't think that a car smashing another car could make another car burst into flames like that. I don't know if that's like an engine or oil or what that was. But I was very surprised by that. I've never seen anything like that before in my life, and like I said, I don't know anything about cars, so I don't know how that happened. That another car smashing into one car could cause just a fire like that. Like I thought that when cars smash into each other, I guess I'm kind of naive. I thought that when cars kind of smash into each other, it's just mostly just mechanical, just parts just flying around everywhere. But I didn't think that it could have just started a fire like that. The fire didn't spread though. It was just her car, but it was that was like the craziest thing that I've ever seen. Like, that was just maybe one was leaking fuel, maybe, I guess. Probably combusted the fuel on impact somehow. GG, good job in Heist, and had fun playing today. Have a good night. Thank you on converting. And thank you, Binant Eagle. I'm going to Macedonia, first time since 2019. Mom's from there. 5/26/26, and I'm heading through Poland. How much do you know about its airlines and airports? If you're taking LOT, which is the Polish airline, I know my parents just say that they never really had any problems with LOT. They've taken LOT several times, and there really isn't any issues with it. I don't know how good the food is on there or anything like that, but it's not a bad airline from what I've heard. Oh, okay, Mr. Waifu. So people are saying it was a fuel leak, possibly. So what happened exactly? The one customer hit her car, and that leaked fuel, and that caught on fire. Is that my understanding? Is that what could have happened? Because I don't know anything really about I don't know anything about cars really. So I don't know, but I just didn't think that a car hitting another car could cause a car to burst into flames like that. That just surprised me. That surprised me a lot about it. No problem, Binant Eagle. And since I'm asking the car people, I guess I could ask my chat one more question if anybody knows. In August, late August, I want to drive to New York when I'm going to visit my family. The reason I'm going to drive this time and I'm not going to fly is because there's a few things that my parents want to give me. There's like a bunch of things that my parents want to give me. They want to give me a few chairs. you know, from my room, a few furniture things. It can fit in my sedan, so I drive a sedan, but it should still be enough to fit in the back seats and stuff like that. So I can't really fly when I'm taking that stuff with me. But here's my question. The drive that I'm going to be having, it's 1,500 miles. And I've done the drive before, and then it's 1,500 miles back again. No, it's 1,400, not 1,500, 1,400, I'm sorry. So it's 1,400 miles one way and 1,400 miles the other way. My question is, does, like, driving, like, a car, like, that distance, because my car is a 2013, like, BMW sedan. It's not a fancy car, just a sedan that I like. Would, like, driving, like, 1,500 miles, like, you know, and then I'm gonna be there for probably a month, and then I'm probably gonna drive back. Does, like, long distances like that, does that damage a car? Like, because I've heard some people say that damages the car, like, long driving like that, and other people tell me it doesn't do anything. Does anybody really know in the comments, will that actually damage my car that long of a drive? People are saying no. Not really. Long distance driving is best for the engine. Okay. How many miles do you have? I have about 46,000 miles on my car. So far, 46,000 miles right now. So 1,500 miles, like, because it's 3,000, I'll keep saying 1,500, 1,400, so 2,800 miles. You know, 1,400 miles one direction, 1,400 miles the other direction. That's not, the oil has changed. The oil is good. So so that's not, that doesn't really damage the car, then? I can make the drive, no problem. I know it's annoying, but I can make the drive. I've done it before. The only thing I'm concerned about is I'm not even concerned with the length of the drive. I'm just more concerned about it just doing damage to my engine with just that long of a drive. Do you drive a lot? No, not at all. I just drive to get groceries. That's it, really. I barely drive. It'll sometimes make the engine better. Okay, I got you. So most people are just saying that it's okay to drive that distance. It's okay to drive that, just keep your oil in. Okay. Do you know that Corey Extension is one of the YouTubers like you that do not cuss at all? He even censors strong languages in his gaming playthroughs. Well, I never censor characters. I don't do that in my playthroughs. So if characters are going to be cursing in a game, I'm never going to censor that. I'm never going to. I'm not going to do that. I will only say I don't curse myself, but I don't censor what the characters say. The only time I did censor something is in my GTA 4 playthrough. There's one character that says something kind of racist. It's kind of messed up, and I just censored basically what that character said because I was scared about getting a strike from YouTube. That's primarily what I was scared about. So that was the only time I ever censored a character in a game. There's one character in GTA 4 said something, and other than that, I don't censor the characters ever. So that's let's see. Yes, you're right. It was Jerry who said it. Yeah, he made a pretty racist remark in one of the cutscenes, and okay, thank you guys for the tips on the drive, by the way. I do appreciate it. Thank you, everyone. Oh, Pro, big safety thing. Check the tires wear and pressure and spare wheels. I actually did. I actually had the tires checked. I had the tires checked last November. Tires were perfect, so I think that I'm fine on that. Pressure is also good, and I have a pump in my car, electric pump, that actually tells me if I hook it up, it tells me how much pressure is on the tires. So I have that just in case. I made some video suggestions on your Sniper Elite 5 short. You think you can look? Some of them could do pretty well. Last super chat before I head off, so good night. Okay. I'll take a look at it. Thank you, Binded Eagle. Thank you, everyone, for the super chat. Thank you guys for the super chats. I do appreciate it. Thank you for hanging out with me. So I'm going to wrap up the stream here. Tomorrow I should actually have or maybe Tuesday. Tomorrow or Tuesday I will have a pretty good lore video. So it's gonna be a pretty good lore video, and I think a lot of you guys are going to enjoy it. It's a GTA 4 lore video, by the way. So another GTA 4 lore video. Expect to see it on Tuesday. I'm probably gonna have my monthly, channel update tonight. I'm sorry, I've just been a bit busy with just things. Yeah, the lore video, the GTA 4 lore video I'm gonna have is gonna be pretty short. It's probably gonna be like around 10-15 minutes, but it's gonna be a lot shorter than some of the other ones. But it's something explaining something in the game. I had fun. Oh, thank you, April. I'm glad you had fun. It's okay, Ricky. Don't worry about it, man. Just take care of yourself. See you, Pro. Thank you, Jazzy. So thank you, everyone, for hanging out with me. I hope that you guys have a great, Sunday night. Thank you, everybody, for stopping by here. Let me just see if I missed any super chats earlier. No, I don't think I have. I think I did read most of them out. Thank you, everyone, for the thank you guys for the super chats. Thank you for hanging out with me. I do appreciate it, and I will see you guys all on the next one. So take care, everyone. Have a wonderful day, guys.